All right, my amazing students, today I'm going to teach you about adding mixed numbers. All right, this is our next step in making sure that we are feeling confident about fractions. If you're not, go back, watch my other videos, practice, practice, practice. Print off worksheets from the internet. Ask me for extra worksheets. I'll get them to you. We've got to learn fractions and feel confident. They're all over our world. We're going to pretend that yesterday it rained. Well, we're not going to pretend that it rained. It actually did rain, but we're going to pretend that it didn't rain and we took a walk. A lot of times we like to go for a walk in the afternoons or on the weekends. And if you walk from my house to a pond that's nearby, it's a walk of about 1 3/4 miles. I can write that as a fraction as 1 3/4. Let's say to go around the pond, it's about 1 1/3 miles. I can write that as 1 1/3. If I wanted to know the total from my house to go all the way around the pond, I could add these two numbers together. The first step is going to be something that you already know. I'm going to find the LCD. Remember, I can find the lowest common denominator by listing my multiples of both of my denominators. Do that with me now. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Or I can multiply those two numbers together. It might not give me the least common denominator, but it will give me a common denominator. Hopefully you're practicing your multiple sheet and you're seeing that you can quickly find the common denominator of 4 and 3 in your brain. The least common denominator of 4 and 3 is 12. I'm going to make both of these fractions equivalent to something over 12. So 4 times what equals 12? 4 times 3 equals 12. Whatever I do to the denominator, I need to do to the numerator. 3 times 3 equals 9. 3 times what equals 12? That's 4. 1 times 4 equals 4. If I'm moving too fast for you, definitely go back through and watch my other videos so that you can get more comfortable with finding your equivalent fractions so that you can go ahead and add. Because remember, when you're adding or subtracting fractions, you're looking for the same denominator. So now my denominator is 12, I can go ahead and I can add these fractions together. I'm going to add 9 plus 4, which gives me 13. I'm going to keep my denominator the same, which is 12. One of the really important things that I'd like you to remember when you're taking the end of grade test or when you're working on a classroom assignment is that you cannot forget about your whole numbers. 1 plus 1 in this case is pretty easy, it's 2, but you can't forget about them. So yesterday, or whatever day I've gone for a walk, I could say that we have walked 2 13/12 of a mile. Hopefully you're realizing that that's an improper fraction, so I need to simplify that. Well, I know that 12 goes into 13 one whole time. So I have my 1 whole, and I have 1 left over to get to 13, and I keep my denominator the same. Once again, don't forget about that whole number. I'm going to add 2 plus 1, which equals 3, and I have 1/12 as my fraction. So if we go to the pond and all the way around the pond, that is equivalent to 3 1/12 of a mile. Now let's say I wanted to figure out how much distance I'm walking all together. So if I'm going from my house all the way around the pond and then back to my house again. So I'm going to have to take my 3 1/12, which is my total for my distance from my house and around the pond, and I'm going to add it to 1 3/4. I'm adding it to 1 3/4 because 1 3/4 of a mile is my distance from my house to the pond. So I'm going to add 3 1/12 plus 1 3/4. Okay. Now hopefully if you're not sure right away, you have your multiple sheet out and you're able to quickly see that my LCD in this case is 12. So I'm going to make both fractions equivalent to 12. 1/12, of course, is equivalent to 1/12. 4 times 3 equals 12. 3 times 3 equals 9. I add 9 plus 1 and I get 10/12. Please don't forget about your whole numbers. 3 plus 1 equals 4. That's really important. So if you wanted to, if you think you're going to forget about your whole numbers, you could always put them in here when you're changing from, when you're putting your fraction equivalent with the least common denominator. So my fraction is 4 10/12, and hopefully some of you are saying that's not simplified. You know that both of those numbers are even. You know that they both can be divided by 2. So my fraction is, keep that whole number, 2 divided by 10 equals 5. 10 divided by 2 equals 5. 12 divided by 2 equals 6. My answer is 4 5/6. So 4 5/6 total miles from my house to the pond, around the pond, and back again. Wow, that's quite a distance. So if you need some extra practice, please ask me. I'll be happy to print some things off for you. You can go ahead and search the internet for some practice addition problems with mixed numbers, or I can print some sheets for you. We're gonna go ahead and practice today. I hope that you have a wonderful attitude. I hope that you're positive. I hope that you're confident. And don't forget about your posture. Sitting up straight, acting like you mean business. You guys can do this. Just pay attention, do the math slowly, check your work, and you can be on your way to getting an A. Have a great day.